College football week one is finally here. In this video, we have our favorite plays for Thursday and Friday, as well as a couple player props at the end of the video. But first and foremost, I must introduce my special guest, Logan. We're back for another season. We love to see it. If you're looking for our picks for Saturday, don't worry. We're going to talk about the three biggest games on Saturday and that Sunday game in a separate video. Should be posted, I think, Friday. So again, this is only talked about Thursday and Friday. Logan and I each brought our favorite pick for each respective day. Logan, let's not waste any more of the people's time. Let's dive into things. I'll begin with my favorite play on Thursday, and it's going to be close to my heart, UCF. But before I get into that, like I said, we're going to have player props all college football season long. I'm going to be doing them a lot on Underdog Fantasy. Again, if it's in your state, sign up. If you got Classic, you got Champions, get on in there. Underdog Fantasy right now, if you sign up using our code COS or the link in the description, they're going to match your first deposit up to $1,000. Take advantage, tail the slips all season long. We crushed the props last year in college football. I encourage you to tail them. But let's dive into some straight bets and let's get into my first one. And it's actually going to be, like I said, in my UCF game. Jacksonville State versus UCF. I'm taking the over at 52.5 minus 110 on basically every single buck. Like I said, Thursday, 7 p.m. start. Man, my boy Scott Frost is coming on home to UCF. Finally, Gus Malzahn's out of there, and anything Scott Frost does will be better than what Gus Malzahn was doing on offense. But look, Scott Frost is going to come in here. The bounce house is going to be rocking on a Thursday night. I am very confident UCF puts up a ton of points. They're going to want to run up the scoreboard. Scott Frost is going to want to use all his new tools and tricks and stuff. I think they run up the scoreboard. They could score and honestly get close to hitting this over by themselves, given how bad I think Jacksonville State's defense will be. But I don't think Jacksonville State's offense is going to be all that bad, and I don't really think UCF's defense is going to be great in week one. I think you're going to see points from both sides of the ball. I think if you see the Jacksonville State offense put up a couple, maybe 2 touchdowns, they get us 14. I think we're going over this one. I just think Scott Frost with a new QB, I think we're going to see a lot of points. And Jacksonville State last year was a very aggressive offense, 12th in seconds per play. They were a very fast offense running up and down the field. Sometimes didn't translate into points, but they were fast. They're running plays. And that's all we want to see. We want to see a lot of drives. Last year, Jacksonville State's defense, pretty rough out of the gates. In their first 3 games, they allowed 55, 49, and 37 points. So again, Scott Frost, we know what he did in his first tenure with UCF, one of the best offenses in college football. It's going to maybe take a little bit of time, but I think on an inferior opponent here, first game, Scott Frost running up the scoreboard. Give me the over as my first play of the season. I forgot to mention, Logan, before we dive into things, we did a futures video with Logan and I's favorite Heisman Trophy candidate, as well as some win totals. So we'll link that video at the end of this one. Go tap into that after this. But Logan, we need a winner for Thursday. What you got?
Yeah, I do like your over. Hopefully the bounce house is rocking in that one. Now mine is going to be an old UCF rival. You like the segue. I'm taking the South Florida Bulls first half spread plus 3.5. I know this is a weird bet, but it's just a first half line, and you'll understand why I'm leaning towards this. But South Florida plays Boise State, and I really don't like the spot for Boise State. USF last year really showed an ability to hang with like elite teams. Alabama, Miami. The problem is there's 2 halves to football. These teams made adjustments to USF, and them playing a really scrappy, inspired first half really caught up with them in the second half, and then that's kind of when these better teams extended the lead. If you told me the same thing happened in this game, I would definitely believe that. USF, trailed by only 5 points with about 6 minutes in that Alabama game as well. They can play with elite competition. Now with Boise State, this is a new life without Ashton Jeanty. I mean, that's going to be the big storyline. If you watch this game, they're going to probably say it 50 million times of that there's no Ashton Jeanty. He is now in the NFL, first-round pick. Now, what Maddox Matson is going to have to really take over this offense. And USF, with quarterback Byron Brown, he returns. 2024, he had a significant leg injury, really derailed his season. But look at what he did in 2023. He became the first quarterback in program history to pass for over 3,000 yards. I'm a Byron Brown fan. I think this guy is legit. I think he can easily go up and down the field on this Boise State defense. And also worth noting is USF they return Cartavius Norton. He's their running back. They bring in 13 players through the transfer portal, mostly from Power 4 programs. I think this USF team's kind of been building, a solid squad here. And we're really going to see it play out inspired against Boise State. That would be a really, really big, time spot for them to come out and even win this game. Again, we're just kind of targeting first half because if Boise State pulls away in the second half, that would be tough. But they're going to come out in the first half, and it's Tampa in August. Don't need to tell Austin that. He lives there. It's pretty hot, and these Boise State players will have to react to playing a 5:30 kickoff time on a random Thursday. You know, I know it's week 1, but it's still not a great travel spot for them too. I think USF comes out absolutely guns a-blazing. High tempo offense really makes Boise State have to run up and down the field. And I love USF in the first half of this one as my favorite pick of the day. Austin, how do you feel about that one?
I have a player prop in that game, but I won't talk about that just yet. I'll save that for the end, but I do like your pick. But I got another one. Let's move on to Friday's slate of action. Hopefully, we just went 2-0 on Thursday. Let's talk about these Friday games. And I have an under. I know, rare, but it won't be rare. We have a lot of unders this season. Let's talk about this game. Western Michigan Broncos taking on the Spartans in Michigan State, East Lansing. I love the under at 50.5. Look, this is a 7 p.m. start. At the end of the day, these are two offenses I think are going to really struggle out of the gates. Aiden Childs, obviously, going to be back as the Michigan State QB. They expect big things out of him last year. Lackluster season, 13 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Really struggled in their first game against FAU. He had 2 interceptions, completed like 40% of his passes. And that's the problem with a guy like Aiden Childs. I feel like he's boomer bust. Some plays are incomplete. Could be a 3rd and 5. He's a neat open guy and he misses those throws, ends drives. And I can see that happening here. And if Michigan State does get up in this game, which they are big favorites, I think they're just going to chew clock over and over and over again. Western Michigan, I'm not too confident in their offense. They really, they just don't. What they're coming in here is just a disaster. It feels like they think this is like a practice spring game because they're coming in here projected to do a 2 QB system. When's the last time you saw a 2 quarterback system where like, oh, well, if one guy play one drive, one the next? When have you seen that worked out? Hardly ever. Each guy comes in, they're cold, they lose rhythm, and there's no momentum, and their offense just stalls out. It could happen here. I just think this is a slow spot for both these offenses. I think the Spartans' defense will be better. Western Michigan's defense wasn't great last year, brought in a new defensive coordinator. I think they'll be serviceable. 50.5 is a lot of points for this first game. I'm going with the under. I'm not going to overthink it. Give me the under on Friday night. No scoring in East Lansing on Friday night. I love that. I'll dive into my props in just one moment, but I need to throw it back to our boy Logan. He's got a pick for you all on Friday. Logan, the floor is yours. You're going to a big game, Mr. Sanders.
Yeah, the former hype machine that it was the Colorado Buffaloes. We're gonna see how hype they are this year, but I'm fading them right out of the gates. I'm taking Georgia Tech -4. I really do like the Yellow Jackets to start off the season. I think they are just the better team in this matchup. Number one, they were very competitive last year. I mean, they started off the season, we remember last year, beating Florida State. And I mean, they were ranked then. Obviously, Florida State tapered off, so it didn't look as great as the season went on. But then they went on to beat Miami at home. They also ended the regular season against number 7 Georgia in a crazy 8 overtime thriller. Georgia pulled it off. We all know how that one ended. But this Brent Key really has Georgia Tech right where he wants them. I think this is a really good Georgia Tech squad, and I think they pull out this win and the cover for us. They're going to have to cover for us. Quarterback Haynes King. I'm a Haynes King fan. I love what he does. I love Jamal Haynes as well. That's a very deadly 1-2 combo. One of the better ones, definitely in the ACC and definitely in college football. What we know about football in general is that run game travels, and Georgia Tech ranked number 26 in rushing yards per game last year, 187 on the ground per contest, number 37 in rushing play percentage. This Georgia Tech team, they know their identity. They don't want to get cute. They don't want to rely on finesse. They just want to run the ball. They ran the ball 56% of the time last year, which I like because run game travels, especially early on in the season when maybe your passing attack isn't the sharpest it's going to be. And, and really, they're going to challenge Colorado to just beat them up front. And that's how you beat Coach Prime and his finesse squad. You just line up across the line of the scrimmage and you just push them around. That's what Georgia Tech's going to do in this one. And I hate the matchup for Colorado. Last season, Colorado allowed 170 yards on the ground at home. That was number 61 in the country. They also gave up 4.1 yards per carry. I mean, just keep running the ball, Georgia Tech. It's your identity with Haynes King. He's elite at doing that. And just controlling clock, controlling pace. You don't want to get in a shootout, a cutesy finesse game shootout with Colorado. And Colorado has some new pieces on offense. Obviously, Caden Salter, transfer from Liberty in there. It's going to take time for that offense to mesh because you lose like your key guys, Shador, and you lose Travis Hunter and even Horn, etc. I could go on and on about these pieces that Colorado lost. And I don't think out of the gate they're going to be all that sharp. Even at home, I think Georgia Tech wins this one. I think they go into Colorado and they win a big time game. Put the country on notice, because this is the lights are very bright for Georgia Tech. They can prove that last year wasn't a fluke, and they can hang with elite competition. Love that as my favorite Friday pick. Austin, you mentioned an underdog entry. What you got cooked up for us?
Yeah, here's some props. We're going to be doing them all college football season long. And like I said, we're going to be doing a ton of them on Underdog Fantasy. A couple reasons why I love them. Number one, you can take some alt lines, which you can't really do on a lot of daily fantasy apps. Number two, they often give you the ability to take some guys to not score touchdowns, which is hard to score a touchdown. I know a lot of apps are just like, hey, you can take all the guys in the world to score touchdowns. I like to fade guys. And last year we had a ton of success fading guys that just don't score touchdowns regularly. So again, sign up using code COS. If it's in your state, get on it. Here's what I'm rolling with on Friday. I will have another one for Saturday slate, so do not worry. Here are the ones that I'm rolling with on Friday and Saturday. As I already touched on, I do have Cyril Gaines. I believe that's how you pronounce his name, of the Broncos. I know Logan's taking the Bulls on the spread, and he can cash that. But I do like him to get some rushing yards on the ground. He's a freshman. He's like 6 foot, 200 pounds. I mean, he's coming in here. He'll have some competition to replace what Ashton Genty did, but that's still the pride of this Broncos offense. They want to run the football, and I think they're going to try to get going early in this game. And if you look at Gaines' rush attempts line, it's at 16.5. I think if he gets 14, 15 carries, I think he could easily average over 5-6 yards per carry and get there. The guy that they brought on transfer, I forget where he's coming from, but again, he's like 5'8". He's not a big guy. I think Gaines could be that guy, the Ashton Genty replacement. I think they want to get those fresh legs in there. He ran a lot last year. Well, not a lot, because Genty literally handled every workload, but he was there last year. I think Gaines can get it done. And Sawyer Robinson, like I said, like taking guys less than touchdowns. That's a QB. I don't expect him to run one in. Heck, catch one. If that's how he lose, I'll live with it. But 2.62 extra money, I like it. I think that is a winner. Reminder, sign up for Underdog Fantasy using code COS or the link down below. They'll match your first deposit up to $1,000. Let's dominate the Thursday and Friday slate. If you're looking for our video on Saturday, and maybe you're watching this, I don't know, maybe on a Friday, looking for our picks, I'll link it on the screen. But right now, for the time being, I'll link our futures video with our 3 favorite win totals and 2 Heisman Trophy long shot picks. Again, go tap into that. Like I said, our video for Saturday's big games, where we talk about the Ohio State-Texas game. We have to talk about the Clemson game. Look, that will be live probably on Friday right around noon. So you have plenty of time for that video. But for now, let's dominate Thursday and Friday, and let's have a dominant college football season. It's finally here, baby. Let's keep going. Let's stay hot. We did it all playoffs. Logan could touch on that. We didn't miss a single play, a lot of picks in the playoffs. Let's keep it going. We'll see you guys back again in that Friday video. See you then. Peace.